Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, April 25th, 2025. Well, overall, it's a quiet weather pattern, and we're dealing with a couple of factors like the forest fire down in Ocean County, which unfortunately was set fired by arsonist, unfortunately. But we do have some good news. Rainfall is on the way. The bad news is that it's going to be occurring during the weekend, of course, on our Saturday. But we are getting some much needed rainfall, and we need it because we're still on the dry side. We're starting to move away from the drought, but we could easily fall right back into the drought conditions, uh, especially in central New Jersey. Southern New Jersey still battling out of it, still digging its way out of the drought conditions. So we need more rainfall. So this weekend, we're going to get some and possibly a few isolated severe thunderstorms. I'm going to explain why we're going to be keeping an eye on that as well. So let's dive into the data. So first of all, I want to show you the overall 500 millibar pattern over the next 15 days. And the overall theme I want you to take from this is that the polar jet stream, which is right about here, right? So you got this right here is your polar jet stream with some of your short waves. Down here is your subtropical jet stream. And notice as we go through the next 15 days, the polar jet stream starts to retract northward gradually. This is a completely normal process for this time of year. After all, we are now moving into May. And what that features is a lot of cutoff lows sometimes because you're getting the primary jet streak, right? The primary jet stream lifting northward. And so at times you kind of get these little cutoff lows as that process is happening. This looks a little bit overdone. I typically don't like the idea of two upper level lows in the same general region. It's possible, but it's not something that I jump on in terms of a forecast. But what the theme here, and that's what's important here when we're looking at data this far out, is that the polar jet stream's retracting, that overall 500 millibar heights will be rising over much of the eastern United States. So overall, we're going to be moving into a warmer weather pattern. And we're going to have to keep an eye out on short waves within the subtropical jet stream that can create some mischief. Showers and thunderstorms, some severe weather outbreaks. Not so much a widespread heavy rainfall event, but certainly some strong dynamic cold fronts. And the primary air mass sources from this type of weather pattern typically is from the Gulf Coast and the Pacific. At times you get a little bit of interaction from polar air and from the maritime, Canadian maritimes, but those become more of a minor secondary air mass influences, and your primary air mass influence is really the Pacific and the Gulf Coast. So what that typically leads to is a lot of clashes of warm, dry air and warm, moist air. Okay, so that is generally our clash, our theme as we move forward, not so much cold air. Okay, so if you're planning on planting, again, unless you're in the highest elevations in the Poconos and Catskills or northwestern Connecticut, I think you're pretty much ready to rock and roll in terms of planting, so that's all good. And in terms of our temperatures, expect a roller coaster still, with some days pushing into the 80s, even some locations touching 90 over the past couple of weeks, and also temperatures in the 50s and 40s, right? When we get periods of rain in 50s and 60s as well. So a nice range of temperatures, a nice roller coaster. The good news is that the cool conditions are limited to basically 24 hours or less. So that is our theme of our weather pattern overall. However, we do have some trouble for tomorrow. So let's take a look at some of the data here. Here is our current observations. Notice we have winds generally light and variable starting to develop out of the southeast gradually. A lot of mix of clouds. The light winds doesn't allow for a lot of transport of that smoke that is lingering around Ocean County. But still, if you're in Monmouth County, northeastern New Jersey, New York City Metro, Long Island, Connecticut, the Hudson River Valley, do be prepared for some poor air quality conditions, and so you're definitely going to smell smoke because we're generally going to be getting a southerly wind out of this whole weather pattern over the next couple of days until the cold front moves through tomorrow afternoon, which shifts to the northwest and forces that smoke out over the Atlantic Ocean. Hopefully, also the rainfall for tonight and tomorrow also helps to help contain this wildfire, which last I checked was at about 50% as of this recording. So hopefully it helps to get us over that hump, get a little bit closer to 100%. Temperatures throughout the region ranging from the lower to mid 50s in your higher elevations, upper 50s to lower 60s in a lot of your suburbs, and mid to upper 50s and a few lower 60s in your urban areas. Taking a look at the radar, it's quiet right now. High pressure starting to exit. We have some showers passing over New England. So basically, you have just high pressure ridge and then the precipitation rolling over it. And that same thing is showing up at 850 millibars. So you're getting the warm air pushing northward. There's our stationary front and warm front back here. And you're getting the warm air transport pushing up and around the ridge. And so as a result, we're kind of protected for now. Quiet, tranquil, pleasant overall. I mean, temperatures today outside of Long Island will be in the 70s and 80s. So you can't ask for a better end to the week. But we are going to be seeing more increase in cloud cover. Now, we have two areas of cloud cover moving. We have clouds coming in from the west via the mid-level forcing, the mid-level warm air transport and moisture transport. And we have some low clouds coming in from the east that will start to shift more from the south as we move on through the day. But look for an increase in high clouds, the mid-level clouds, and then low clouds by this evening as we get ready for our waves of showers and thunderstorms. This feature right here is what's going to be driving our cold front. Notice it has what's called a positive tilt here in the observations. Very important factor here. The positive tilt enhances the moisture transport, but it directs the lifting more to the east of the region. So you don't have the dynamic lifting properties involved in this scenario. Now, if you had a negatively tilted trough, you can get a more dynamic low and you can get more powerful divergence and diffluence and a stronger thunderstorm potential. But because it's a positive tilt, well, this typically means it's a faster moving scenario, and also the focus more is on the isotropic lifting and warm air transport rather than the divergence and diffluence aloft. So this is a very important factor here. Also notice the subtropical jet stream continues to plow its way to the south of us, and the polar jet stream overall is to the north of us. So again, that whole process is starting to take shape that I was talking about over the next 15 days. On the infrared satellite picture, you can see the lifting here where it's organized. Again, here's our ridge, right? And then here's the moisture transport and the lifting enhancement starting to take shape here. And then here's our cold front and strong lifting back here, starting to approach the region. On the water vapor satellite picture, that shows up as our nice little short wave up here over the northern plains, and all the moisture lifting out ahead of it. So the stage is set. How do we get our showers and thunderstorms? Well, first, knowing that we have a positively tilted trough tonight, we're going to see short waves starting to invade the region. The ridge axis is going to push off the coast. So this is going to instigate the development of scattered showers and thunderstorms with some support at 500 millibars, more support at the mid-levels. By tomorrow morning, you're starting to get a nice little mid-level shortwave with some lifting here at 500 millibars. And here's our primary shortwave back here over the central Great Lakes. Notice how we have a little bit of a disjointment between the trough axis here and the trough axis here. So we don't have a perfect alignment. So this pretty much supports the idea of a prefrontal trough ahead of the primary cold front. So that typically leads to some wet conditions in the morning, and then our cold front follows on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening with additional showers and thunderstorms. Once the trough gets to this point on Sunday morning, you might think like, hey, that means it's going to be stormy. No. At this point, you're at the trough axis, so that means convergence and confluence. The air converges and sinks, and so we start to get clearing skies. This is where you start to get all your precipitation here and clearing skies here. So the second half of the weekend is looking much better. In terms of the mid-levels, this is what I was talking about with lifting starting to invade tonight, supporting the development of showers and thunderstorms. And then that first wave in the morning of showers and thunderstorms, This is what's going to be the hinging factor as to whether or not we see a couple of severe thunderstorms or just an isolated severe thunderstorm, because the showers and thunderstorms will initially produce cloudy skies and a moisture saturated, stable environment. If we have some clearing, then we can get to some destabilization in the atmosphere, and that opens up your thunderstorm threat with your next shortwave via this trough here. So you can see what the environment is, and you could also see the moisture we have available getting ready to get transported into our region. And so when we know that in the observations that there's plenty of moisture available, when you have your precipitable water values over 1 inch, then you compare that to the model guidance and you see where we're heading towards. By this afternoon, we're still below a 1/2 inch in most locations for precipitable water value, so increasing cloud cover but no precipitation. By tonight into tomorrow morning, well, that's where we start to see our precipitable water values spike over 1.5 inches. This opens up the potential for heavy downpours. The high precipitable water values also opens up the potential for some frequent lightning in a few of these thunderstorms, because you're increasing the moisture transport and you're increasing the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. By Saturday afternoon, well, tomorrow afternoon, there's our cold front moving through, and there is our precipitable water values getting driven out, and with that, the potential for some of those thunderstorms. So when we take a look at the NAM model guidance, can't really use the HRR just yet. You can use the extended, but it's not as reliable. So right now you're in the prime time period to use the NAM. Tomorrow morning, you'll be in the prime time period to use the HRR. Okay. So right now, what we see with the NAM is that we get these scattered showers developing this evening, becoming widespread tonight. Tomorrow morning, as you're waking up, probably not this early at 4 or 5 a.m., I hope not for your sake, waves of heavy downpours, embedded thunderstorms. Don't be surprised to get us a little bit of lightning, some rumbles of thunder. This factor here is going to be very important. If we get some clearing skies here, it destabilizes the atmosphere. If we don't, then we just get a few isolated thunderstorms with the cold front, maybe some downburst wind gusts, and that's about it. And then we're pretty much done by 9 p.m. And on Sunday, it's absolutely beautiful. What does that look like in the QT? Well, here we are with the saturated atmosphere after our heavy rainfall leaves. And then here comes our cold front. And the question is, as the cold front moves through, is whether or not we get this dry pocket becoming more enhanced. Let's say it cuts down to here rather than does this, right? Let's say that we get enough clearing that it destabilizes the atmosphere, and instead of this being 69, that we're at 75 because of more sunshine. Then that 75 would translate to a far more unstable atmosphere, and that would translate to a potential here for some more robust thunderstorms. If it remains cloudy and after the rain has exited and we have pretty much a saturated environment up to about 800 millibars, then yeah, you get some showers and thunderstorms that swing on through, are widely scattered. That isolated severe threat is basically this feature right here, this dry air, where the moisture gets lifted up, it condenses and then slams back down towards the surface in terms of downburst wind gusts. And you see that potential pretty nicely here, where you have your capes here over 1,000 joules per kilogram. So the potential is there. The question is whether it will be maximized. So that's what we'll be watching as we move forward. So let's dive into this forecast. For today, increasing cloud cover, but overall warm and pleasant. Look for high temperatures ranging from the mid 60s to lower 70s on Long Island. Mid 70s to lower 80s along the immediate coast, upper 70s to lower 80s in the Delaware River Valley, and mid to upper 70s in the interior. For tonight into tomorrow morning, waves of showers and thunderstorms develop around the region, some heavy downpours. Low temperatures will range from the lower to mid 50s over the interior and your suburbs, upper 50s to lower 60s in your urban areas. Tomorrow afternoon, the scattered showers and thunderstorms linger. Not exactly the best conditions for outdoor activities. Looking for high temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 60s on the east end of Long Island, upper 60s to lower 70s on the west end of Long Island. Looking at let's see here, mid to upper 70s along the immediate coast and over the Delaware River Valley, and mid to upper 70s over the interior. Now, on Saturday evening into Sunday morning, we got clearing skies. Winds are going to increase from the northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour, pushing to 10 to 20 miles per hour by Sunday afternoon, with some higher gusts pushing possibly as high as 35 to 40 miles per hour. Looking at lows ranging from the lower to mid 40s and high temperatures on Sunday ranging from the upper 40s to lower 50s over the northern interior, mid 50s to lower 60s in the Delaware River Valley, and mid to upper 50s along the coast. So a much cooler day on Sunday. On Monday, high pressure will be in control, plenty of sunshine, a little bit warmer. Look for low temperatures ranging from the upper 30s to lower 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s along the coast. High temperatures rebound into the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, mid to upper 60s along the coast, and upper 60s to lower 70s in the Delaware River Valley. On Tuesday, high pressure begins to exit. Look for increasing cloud cover but dry conditions. Low temperatures will range from the lower to mid 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 60s on the east end of Long Island, upper 60s to lower 70s on the west end of Long Island, lower to mid 70s along the rest of the coast, upper 70s to lower 80s in the Delaware River Valley, and mid to upper 70s over the interior. On Wednesday, we'll have a cold front move through, but it'll weaken as it moves through. So expect variable cloud cover with scattered showers, possibly an isolated thunderstorm. Look how this basically collapses because a lot of your best lifting and dynamics get focused towards the Canadian Maritimes. So I'm not expecting a widespread outbreak, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get an isolated thunderstorm out of this Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. Clearing skies towards Wednesday evening. Look for low temperatures ranging from the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior and along the coast in your suburbs, mid to upper 60s in your urban areas. High temperatures will range from the lower 60s to lower 70s over the northern interior, mid 70s to lower 80s in the Delaware River Valley, and mid to upper 70s along the coast. Again, a lot of this depends on the timing of the cold front and where the cooler air builds in. On Thursday, high pressure will linger to our north, and that's going to support an easterly wind with a lot of low clouds. So cloudy skies expected on Thursday and a bit cool and raw. Look for low temperatures in the upper 30s to lower 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s in your suburbs, upper 40s to lower 50s in your urban areas, high temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. Then Thursday night into Friday, a warm front and area of low pressure moves into the region with waves of showers and thunderstorms continuing on into Friday afternoon. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 40s over the northern interior, upper 40s to lower 50s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s on Long Island, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast, and upper 60s to mid 70s in the Delaware River Valley. That is your forecast discussion for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like to, please like, share, and subscribe. It actually helps out the channel quite a bit. Hit that notification bell. And if you're interested in videos like this and an education like this every day, definitely check out the Premium Consulting membership, only $15 a month. That is your forecast discussion. And as always, stay safe out there.